In this video, we're going to go through a portfolio I've never shared before. Before opening my DIY stocks and shares ISA with InvestEngine, I actually tested the platform out with one of their managed for you accounts, and that was 2 years ago. I've kept that account open ever since, and in this video, we're going to see how that portfolio performed and then compare it to my own DIY portfolio's performance and also to a benchmark's performance. I need to say that this portfolio was chosen and managed by InvestEngine on my behalf over the past 2 years. It's a portfolio on the Robo-investing side of the platform. And how this works is that when I opened the account, InvestEngine asked me a bunch of questions to gauge my investment aims, time horizon, and risk appetite. It asked me questions such as, what's your investing time frame? I said long term. It asked me what is more important to you when investing, put a few options out there, and I said maximizing profit. It asked me, what would you do if the market takes a downturn? I said buy more. So ask me questions like this. Then based on my answers to those questions, InvestEngine assigned me one of their growth portfolios, and they've maintained that portfolio ever since on my behalf, essentially buying and selling ETFs to ensure it's balanced. So that's how InvestEngine assigned me this particular managed for you portfolio. And before we look into the portfolio's performance, let's take a look at a benchmark so we can compare this portfolio's performance against something else. And let's use the S&P 500 as the benchmark, given it measures 500 very big American companies and is a great benchmark because of that, because America is the biggest stock market in the world. And we can see here that since May the 14th, 2021, when I opened my InvestEngine managed for you account, to today, that the S&P 500 has grown by just over 5%. There's been some ups and downs, but the overall trend is up by 5%. And if we now switch over to InvestEngine, we can see that this managed for you portfolio by InvestEngine over the past 2 years is down by 2.14% in percentage terms and £30.16 in pound terms. So it's way below the benchmark. It's actually negative performance. And at the time of recording, the portfolio has a balance of £544.84. And we can use this graph feature here to see how the portfolio's performance evolved over time. So the portfolio was created on the 14th of May, 2021. Then across the next year, I made a number of small deposits up until around the 19th of April 2022, as this is when I then created my own DIY stocks and shares ISA with InvestEngine and began depositing in that ISA account instead of this portfolio. So there was no more deposits after this time period. And if we focus on just the first year of this portfolio, so between the 14th of May 2021 and April 2022, the portfolio's performance is okay, it's not too bad. You can see the red line representing the value of the portfolio is outstripping the blue line, which represents the contributions to the portfolio, meaning for much of that first year, the portfolio was actually in the green. So for example, on the 31st of December 2021, the portfolio had a value of £316.59 and the contributions was £300, meaning we were in the green by £16.59. However, after that first year, the portfolio went down in value, and you see that red line stays below the blue line, meaning we were in the negative for the period after April 2022, and it hasn't recovered since. If we take a look at the performance over the last 6 months, it's a slightly better picture. The portfolio is up by 5%, and over the last month, the portfolio is up by 2%. But of course, the bigger picture is that this portfolio is negative since I opened it. There's negative performance, which despite difficult market conditions over the last 2 years, it's bad performance for this portfolio, given the return is significantly worse than that of the benchmark we used, the S&P 500, which has positive performance of above 5% over the same 2-year period. And the return of this portfolio is also much worse than my own stocks and shares ISA portfolio, which has a performance over the past year of over 12.5%. So it's in the green. It's much better than the performance of this portfolio. So overall, I'm not happy with the performance of this portfolio. I don't think anyone would be happy with negative performance across a 2-year period. So now let's dig deeper to see the contents of this portfolio and what's been driving this performance. The portfolio is mostly made up of equities at 71.1%. And there's 9 equity ETFs, many of the familiar names such as the iShares MSCI World Small Cap, which I have on my own stocks and shares ISA portfolio. They also have the Xtrackers S&P 500. So many familiar, many popular ETFs in the equity section. Then there's 26.9% of the portfolio dedicated to bonds, and that's split between 4 ETFs. Again, very well known ETFs such as the iShares Core UK Gilts. And then the remaining percentage of the portfolio at 2% is cash. And if we look at the individual performance of these ETFs, most of them are actually in green. There's only 3 here which are in red. And this doesn't quite add up to the overall negative performance of the portfolio. All these greens surely don't equate to an overall negative portfolio performance. But the reason for this is because InvestEngine has been managing this portfolio in buying and selling ETFs over the past 2 years. So many of these ETFs on screen were not actually in my portfolio from the start. So this shows a different picture to the reality. It shows the picture of these ETFs, the performance of these ETFs since they've been bought. If it showed the ETFs from my portfolio from 2 years ago, from the start when this portfolio was created, it would show a different picture. There'd be a lot of reds here. And if we head over to transactions and select this particular portfolio, we can see all the buying and selling InvestEngine have done for this portfolio. So we can see here on the 14th of April, there was plenty of sales. There was also plenty of purchases. If we go back further, we can see that on the 14th of December, there was also plenty of sales and plenty of purchases. And if we click on one of the sales rows, we can see iShares US inflation-linked bonds, some were sold there. If we click on the purchase row, we can see that UK gilts were purchased. So InvestEngine has been doing plenty of buying and selling for this portfolio. And the reason why they've been doing this is to try and ensure the portfolio is always balanced and matches my risk appetite and aims, or at least what they perceive them to be based on how I answered the questions when I opened this account, this portfolio. If we now head over to analytics, we can actually assess how well InvestEngine matched my investment aims, my risk appetite to one of their portfolios by digging a bit deeper into the portfolio and assessing, does that suit me? So we can see here that this portfolio is well diversified across regions. We can see 33.3% is in North America, 11% in Europe, excluding the UK, 6.7% in emerging markets, and so on. And this diversification does align to my aims, and it aligns to my investing style. So the robo-investing nature of the platform was successful in picking a portfolio to match my aims from that point of view. It's also well diversified across sectors. You can see here there's great diversification across several different sectors, maybe a little bit heavy on the industrial side, but there's a good mixture of the rest. And if we head over to holdings, the diversification is even clearer with over 6,000 holdings in this portfolio. However, InvestEngine's algorithm wasn't entirely successful in assigning me a portfolio matching my own aims and risk appetite, because the asset class mix isn't entirely reflective of what I want in my investing portfolio. So if we head over to asset class, you can see 71.1% is in equities and 26.9% is in bonds. And having over 25% of the portfolio invested in bonds doesn't align to my investing aims, my risk appetite and time horizon. I would have preferred a much higher percentage in equities, if not the entire portfolio in equities, like with my other portfolios. So InvestEngine's robo-investing algorithm didn't quite pick a portfolio 100% aligned to what I want. And overall, to finish this video, I think there's some great functionality with the managed for you portfolios. And using this portfolio actually convinced me to use InvestEngine as my stocks and shares ISA. And I think the managed for you portfolios do suit a lot of people. They suit those who want a portfolio picked on their behalf and want something really low touch, where you just answer a few questions, you're assigned a portfolio, you just invest in the portfolio, then InvestEngine manage it on your behalf. They do all the hard work, you don't have to worry about it. But for me personally now, the DIY portfolio option suits me better. I can pick the ETFs which directly match what I want to invest in, how I want to invest, and there's no management fees, unlike with the robo-investing option where you have to pay some additional fees. So for these reasons, I will likely move funds across from this managed for you portfolio to my stocks and shares ISA in the near future. And I'll use the stocks and shares ISA as my only InvestEngine portfolio. So hopefully you found this video useful. Let me know how your managed for you portfolios have performed. Thanks guys.